There they are. There's Kevin. Hey, Jill, Catherine. Okay, so let's.
Hey.
Annie's up there on the step saying, "Yay, we're all here." Um, let's do the first section of the form a couple of times just to warm up, and then we'll go into what you guys have been preparing for the past week or so. All right. So I think I'm going to have Catherine do the very first.
Uh,
I,
Malcolm, I just got home. I was 20 minutes in the subway, totally packed and stuck because of the inauguration of Notre Dame. And I'm so hot right now because I ran like crazy in the streets.
All right. Well, we'll give you a break then. So
the dog ate her homework.
The dog ate her homework. Right. I would have done it, but my dog ate it. So have you been in Notre Dame since it has been opened again?
It's opening tonight, and we are not able to go before tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So
tonight is Macron and Trump.
Yeah.
Who got here this morning.
Wow.
Tomorrow I can go tomorrow.
Well, it should be very interesting. I've seen pictures.
It looks gorgeous.
It looks very beautiful, but it also looks brand new. It's like it is a new instead of an ancient cathedral.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very strange, but I mean that's what happens, you know. Time marches on, as they say. Yeah. Well, you're hot. Is hot there, or you're just hot in the subway?
No, it's because I have to climb up 4 flights of stairs to get here. There is no elevator, so I'm just like, and I ran crazy. It's okay. I'm better already.
To get there in time. Okay, well, we'll give you a break and we'll make Jill do all the work today. Right?
And I just add, the dog did not eat her homework.
Well, good. All right, let's do the first section.
Okay.
Okay, Jill.
Oh, I thought I was leaving. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah.
So you've moved the couch into your practice room there?
Well, it's basically it's a work in project pros
Uh-huh.
a
Process.
work in process. Is basically all that stuff that's back there has to be
Uh-huh.
gone through and squirreled away somewhere or
Yes.
away, gone away.
Straightening up.
Yeah, because the intention is to move this to that wall so that it's properly, so it'll be facing east.
Okay.
Because right now it's facing north, which is
Uh-huh.
it's the one direction you
The
shouldn't
one
be facing.
direction you're not supposed to face. That's true. Did you know that, Catherine? Did you know that when you do Tai Chi or Qigong, you can face every direction except north. All right. So in the morning, let's say you're doing Qigong. In the morning, you should face east. During the midday, you should face south, and in the evening, you should face west. But you never face north. And that's because, especially in China, the wind from the north in China is cold because it's coming down from Siberia. So they don't face the north because cold winds will hurt you like an enemy's arrows. The saying
But
goes.
they'll hit you no matter which direction you're faced.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Yes.
All right, Jill, why don't you lead us in one?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so while I was leading, I thought about two things that I want to pass along, and I think I've actually mentioned both of them before. But as with all Tai Chi teaching, you have to mention them over and over and over because you guys are changing all the time. You're growing and getting more sophisticated in what you do. Um, the first thing is one particular place at the very beginning of the form. So I'm going to stand back so you can see my whole body, and I'm going to start by doing the three circles. But it's not the three circles per se I want to talk about. It's what you do at the end of the three circles. So I exaggerated that a little bit at the end, but let me describe what you do. So you've done the three circles, right? Pung, Lu, right? On, right? And we're going for the third one, on, and you continue the on, and you let yourself look down at your feet, and you sink your chi all the way down to your toes, right? So even into the ground. And then your chi is going to come back up your back to the top of your head. And then it's going to sink down into your body and down your arms to the tips of your fingers. Right? So it goes down, it goes back up, and then it sort of sinks to your center and to the tips of your fingers. Clear? This is actually an important thing. It takes a few seconds to do that. You should give yourself a few seconds to do that. Give yourself all the time you need, right? Okay, now I'm ready. It's just a way of sort of getting yourself ready and taking a few seconds to energetically compose yourself, right? And you know you can just stop in that position. You can just wait in that position. If you want to wait for 2 minutes, it's fine to do that, even in performance, right? And then on you go. The second thing I wanted to talk about um, is the difference between using the right and left side of the body at the same time and using them with kind of on a different beat, right? So the right side of the body is moving on one beat and the left side is moving on another beat. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but that's what I mean. What happens is a lot of Tai Chi, you're moving both sides of the body at the same time. And that shows up most easily in the hands, but it's really the whole body I'm talking about. So, for instance, boom. You could say that's moving both sides. Both sides of the body, right and left, are moving together. And that's true in a way, but it's misleading. It sort of looks like they're moving together, but really they're not. The reason they're not is your body has a certain width, and you have to account for that in your movement somehow. So if I were to truly move both sides of my body at the same time, it will end up looking and being very stiff. All right? No, I have to shake that out. It does not feel good. Right? In fact, when you, let's say, move to the right, you always start with the right side of the body and the left side follows. 1, 2. Now I'm going to move to the left. Now the left side is going to move, followed by the right side. I'm going to move back to the right side, and then the left side. I'm going to move to the left side, and then the right side. Now, if you just relax into that, it sort of looks like they're both moving at the same time, but they're not. So it's much more dance-like. This is very mechanical and stiff looking, and you don't want to do that. It doesn't look good, but it also doesn't feel good. All right, but 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right, that feels great. That feels really good. All right. Now I want to show you in the second move uh, is particularly interesting because the move that I just demonstrated is just a simple circle. So in fact, both sides are doing the same thing. They're just not on quite the right timing, or the same timing, I should say, right? So it's right and then left, it's left and then right, it's right and then left, it's left and then right. If you get that down, it's seamless. It looks like everything's moving together, but it's not quite. But in the second move, the two sides of the body are doing opposite things. And if you can get the rhythm inherent in that, number one, it looks great, and number two, it feels really good. So watch. Right? The left side, the right side, the left side, the left side, the right side. Boom. The right side, the left side, and boom. All right? So you have to, in a sense, you have to sort of decouple the right side and the left side, and don't get caught up in thinking they both need to move at the same time. So let me show you what I mean. It's very easy to think if the left side is coming down, the right side has to come at the same time, and then they both need to come up. Well, they don't. Right? In fact, my focus is really on my left side. Now I've switched my focus to my right side. Look at my left side. It's just waiting there. Left side, right side, left side, left side, right side. So they're much more independent. How can I say? Maybe independent is a little bit the wrong word, because they're still totally paying attention to each other. When I come down here and do this, and the left side just waits, right? Yes, it's waiting, but it's waiting for the timing. What determines the timing? I'm going to do it again. Watch. See if you can pick up what determines the timing for when the left hand begins to move again. Jill.
I see it's following the wave.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's like how things will use the natural, they join the energy wave, like birds and whatever.
There's an energy wave that happens in the body. The timing is when you feel it inside. The question is, what is it doing when you feel it that signals, okay, now it's time to move? So I'm going to do it again slowly. Watch the wave. All right? Watch for the timing on the wave. All right? I'm not doing this as an intellectual exercise when I'm doing it. I'm just doing it by how it feels inside. there. Why here? Because this is the place where I actually start to shift my weight again.
It looks to me like that's where the wave is cresting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You think about, well, what causes the wave to crest? It's your weight shift. Let me do it from this angle. Here, boom. That's when it's crested and moved over. All right. There's no point in moving your left arm until you pass that tipping point. Just as you're passing the crest. Watch this hand crest and time this hand. Right there. Again, it's not an intellectual, it's not mathematics. It's not, okay, it went down and then it went up and then it went over. You can't explain it that way if you want, but what you really need to do is feel it inside, right? The left hand is going to rest while the right hand gets ready, and oh, now they both go. And that's actually what you do all the time anyway. It's just this example is really large. So there's a temptation to move this hand too early. There's a temptation to do this. It's okay. It's all right. But it's better to hesitate for just a second. Someone watching is not really going to consciously notice all that stuff. But you will notice because it changes your feeling inside. When you kind of hesitate there, and now this one goes, and now this one is hesitating. It's waiting, waiting, waiting. What is it waiting for? Why does this hand wait? It's waiting, it's waiting, it's waiting, it's waiting, it's waiting. Oh, it's waiting until both hands are stretched out. Now it comes through. All right. Does that make sense? Okay. So the timing is internal. It's about how you feel inside. If you go this here and you stretch out and you don't stretch this out, you just get halfway and you try to walk through, you're going to feel unbalanced inside. It doesn't feel good. All right? And think about it. What is this hand doing? All right? What is that hand? What did I just do? I'm blocking someone. Someone's trying to kick me. So I'm blocking them. Well, get that done. Right? And then walk through. You see what I mean? This is why you need to know the Shin Yi of what it is you're actually doing, not to become a martial artist, but to understand the timing. It's like when you play the piano or whatever instrument you want to play, right? There's going to be a timing. Well, what determines the timing? The timing is determined by how you feel, what you want to express. Right? And you need to understand a lot about what the composer had in mind. And then you're going to have your own feelings about what the composer wrote. And both of them are legitimate. Most of the time, maybe they're together, sometimes they're not. Those are artistic decisions. But something like this, to come down just part way and then start walking through and then finish it all falls apart. So instead, right, You finish. Now, what do your arms like this provide for you as you walk through? If you're, hold on.
It's like standing on a tightrope.
Yes, ran yet. If I'm walking on a tightrope, right, I want to have a balance beam. Right? They're longer than this, but that's the idea. Well, what is this? It's a balance beam. Walk through. Now the timing on this, watch this hand. This hand going out and then circling and coming back in is a counterweight on the left side for all the movement on the right side. And you think, well, my God, your right side is your leg and your arm and your body. It's really big and heavy. And here is just your little forearm coming in. How can that work? How does it work, Kevin?
Leverage.
Leverage. What do you mean by leverage? If I have so I've got a little 1 pound wrist weight here. All right. What is that 1 pound wrist weight weigh effectively when I'm just holding it in on my body? It weighs 1 pound. But what happens if I hold it out here? Now it's the equivalent of 5 or 10 pounds. Leverage. All right? It's a long lever and you've got a lot of weight out there. Suddenly that weight actually starts to get a lot heavier. And you can imagine. All right? 12 pounds. Okay, it's not that heavy. I could stand here for, an hour. But now hold it out here. Oh, okay, it's still 12 pounds, but it feels like it's 50 pounds. I probably couldn't stand there for 5 minutes. I feel my arm already starting to shake. All right? That's what I mean by leverage. When you have a long lever, it gives you more leverage. So when this hand goes out, all right, it's worth a lot more than just the weight of your arm. It's enough coming back in to counterbalance all this movement. So when you do this move, 1, 2, 1, 2. Wow, there's some really interesting timing in the movement of the body parts. When you catch the right place and the right timing, it really flows. And it's actually one of my favorite parts of the form because it feels so good. It's like, oh, okay, wow, that feels really good to do it that way. If it still feels kind of awkward and the timing is kind of not quite right, well, there you are. So you just need to do it 10,000 more times, and you just sort of play with the timing of the body parts. So Master Zhang never taught me, right? Come out, and come back in. No, he would do that, but he wouldn't tell you to do that. Zhang was not an explainer. He was great at demonstrating, but he didn't break it down and explain it in words and go, you know, boom, 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 like this. If you wanted to get the details on this, you had to work it out yourself. He'd demonstrate till the cows came home, but that was it. And you think, oh, well, you know, he would demonstrate this half a dozen times. You would see everything and get it. No, that's not the way it works. When you don't understand, you don't understand. You can see it and still not really see it, not really understand it until you've worked through it enough yourself. Boom. And to tell you the truth, most people are not patient enough. Most people are not patient enough to get the details on this kind of stuff. So I'm giving you this as a way of saying, pay attention. Because everywhere in the form is like this. There are minute details that make a huge difference in your internal joy in doing this. Doing Tai Chi should be joyous. Truly, I mean that from the bottom of my soul. It should make you feel good. Kevin.
So I've always had difficulty with that movement and others, but you got to do the weight shift and root that leg. And then everything goes off of the central pole after that. But if your weight isn't right, it's hard to do these movements because you can't use the leverage.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, you know, how can I say? People think Tai Chi is learning the forms. That's not right. The forms are a laboratory for you to explore all these issues. Tai Chi is what you develop from that. All right? The forms are they're a means, not an end. The end is you, is what you develop, and you're going to find, maybe you have found already, that you're going to have a lot of frustrations in learning this stuff because it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be a Tai Chi master. All right? But if you stick with it and you keep working things and paying attention and trying different things and try, okay, what if I did this, and try to figure out what the principles are. So the principles don't just apply to one movement, they apply to all the movements. And now, okay, I work on one movement. Okay, I spent a lot of time, spent a whole week working on this one movement, and I finally got the weight shift right. Okay, now take that and apply it to all the other movements. And instead of just getting one thing, you get 30 things. All right. Anyway, you can tell you're moving ahead when it starts to become joyous. I'm serious. It's like, suppose you decide to join a choir or a singing group of some kind, and you go and you haven't really had any voice lessons, so you go and you start taking voice lessons. Wow, you're going to have to learn a lot. Is your voice coming from your chest? Is your voice coming from your nasal? Is your voice coming from your voice box? Is your voice in your mouth? It depends on what you want to do. Is it a combination of your chest and your mouth? Is it a combination of your chest and your nose? Right? Well, if you don't know those things, you might be singing out of your nose the whole time and sound like a little nasal chipmunk. No. When you're trying to have a basal profundo. So you have to learn all that stuff, and you have to learn how to harmonize, and you have to learn how to bring your stuff out of there. But once you've learned it, now comes the joyous part. You get to sing. And Tai Chi is exactly like that too. All right, questions?
No.
No. All right. Let's do what we said a couple of weeks ago we were going to do. And we'll spend more time doing it tomorrow. Is go through the 6 moves of the first form and establish the yin and yang cycles. Keeping in mind that in a way, there's no right answer. There's just your answer. So I personally don't care if you get exactly the same number that I got. What I care about is that you have reasons for what you're doing. All right. So if you say, if I said there's 4 and you decide there's 6, okay, well then you're going to do 6. But you have to explain to me why you're doing 6. All right. Okay, so let's start with the first move that everybody should know. And I'm going to pin this one on Catherine so that she is doing one. We'll probably just do 3 moves today. But this one is hopefully simple enough that it won't overtax her overheated body. So Catherine, do the first move.
Okay. One, two, three, four.
Good. Master Zhang would be pleased. All right, you look like you know what you're doing. So now I want you to go through those 4, and for each of the 4, I want you to tell me what it is you're doing. What's the Xin Yi?
I I don't know. I can say yin and yang, but the Xinyi, I'm not sure that I can do it.
Okay, so saying the yin and yang is a really important part of it. I think you should start with that. I agree. The Xin Yi, I think you will be surprised that you know more than you know. So just try it. Give it a try and see what happens.
Um, yin and yang, but I don't know what I mean, if I have someone with me, I'm not sure that I can explain what I'm doing.
Okay, so this is one of the, I think, the valuable parts of going through this. We can go through this slowly like this, and where someone is drawing a blank, then I can fill that in. So it's going to be a real learning thing. So suppose we're just talking about that first little movement, right? My version of that first little movement is very small. I'm actually circling my hips. Okay, don't forget when you're doing this form, you're doing a very slow, gentle form. As a martial thing, you probably would not do this slow and gently. You would do it much more quickly. All right. So you can say that about all the yin and yang cycles. They're actually going to be pretty quick. The yin is a little slower. The yang is much faster. So watch this first move. All right. Suppose somebody comes up and grabs my wrist. All right. I'm going to raise my wrist into their hand. Pump. Right? Pump. And then I'm going to pull back a little bit. Loop. And then watch. They probably will let go just because of the sort of the shockingness of the movement. Also, you begin by raising them up. And then pull back a little bit, and then suddenly you're going down. So one application for this might be just an escape from someone grabbing your wrist. Right? You can try this on yourself and feel it. Take your right hand, grab your left wrist. Now, when I say wrist, I mean really the forearm. Right? Because when someone grabs you, they're probably not going to grab you by the wrist itself. They're going to grab you up a little bit. That's what most people do. Anyway, just come up underneath there. Don't think about escaping yet. Just think about coming up and think about joining your energy with their energy. So you're literally coming up and giving them energy. Now, roll backward. All right, do that together. How does it feel for this hand that's trying to grab hold of the guy? I feel my grip loosening. All right, it's still there, but instead of being 100%, maybe it's 60%.
Mm.
Right? And then, boom, the guy just escapes.
Mm.
Don't forget, in Tai Chi, you don't fight the other guy's energy. You blend with it, right? More like people dancing together, right? So this guy's he's grabbed my arm, right? I'm not going to struggle and try to fight against his energy, right? I'm actually going to blend with his energy. I'm going to go into his energy. Here's his energy coming down. I'm coming up into it. And then I roll and snap out of it. Now, if the guy's 7 feet tall and has hands the size of dinner plates, that might not work. You might have to do something else. But for most people, right, that would probably work pretty well. Okay, so that's the Shin Yi. Yeah, Kevin.
Also, when you're pushing up, then he's going to try to start pushing down, and when
Yeah.
you roll, he's going to follow. You're leading him down at the at the same
Yeah.
time, and he doesn't realize it.
Yeah. Yes, there's all kinds of little subtleties involved in this stuff, right? And this is something where that is a little difficult because we're online and we can't do a little push hands. Push hands would clarify all this stuff really quickly for you, right? So I would grab Jill's wrist, not in a crushing grip that like I'm trying to hurt her, but just a solid grip. I'm her training partner. I'm not her enemy. I'm her partner, right? So I'm going to give her a decent grip, but I'm not going to try to trick her or overwhelm her or anything. I'm just going to give her enough of a grip that she can play with this a little bit, and then she can keep trying this until she finds the sweet spot, the place that works. Because for most of these, you're going to try it 12 times until you find the right thing. And when you find the right thing, you'll know because you'll feel it. And they'll know too because you'll escape, right? So there's the Shin Yi of this movement. What's the Ne Gong of this movement? For all the movements, you can look at most of the energies we're working with are just the first four energies, Peng, Lu, Ji, and An. You can look at those energies and see, all right, where am I using Peng? Where am I using Lu? Where am I using An? Each of those is created inside the body in roughly the same way all the time. So if it goes pung, lu, on, all right, then how do you create pung? How do you create lu? How do you create on? All right, how do you create pung? Jill, how do you create pung?
I think of it as like raising your spirit, as like expand, just like expanding your sense of energy
Yes, from where to where?
from your dantian
Yes,
out through
yes.
the universe.
Yeah, boom, you just grow. Boom. All right? Boom, boom. Now, this is a fairly subtle move. If somebody grabs your hand, you're not going to like, jerk them around. You don't want to jerk them around because then there's kind of you're signaling to them that you're going to try to get out. A lot of Tai Chi is more subtle than that. So instead of, jerking them around trying to do pong, you just do a little bit. A little bit. And their body doesn't read that as a threat necessarily. They're not actually going to understand what it is you're doing. And so I know this sounds sort of strange, but if you do this with somebody, you'll see what I mean. They will, the first time you do it, they will kind of hesitate. What is this guy doing? I don't understand. Now, if you do it over and over and over, they'll start to catch on, and then when you start to move in pung, they'll clamp down even harder. But that's okay. All right. So pung, you expand. Ran. The next part is lu. What am I gonna do in lu? Let me demonstrate. All right. Pung, lu, 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 lu. What am I doing inside my body to create that lu? Rand, do you have any ideas?
I'm not sure.
All right, just watch my hand and just watch my Dan Chan.
You're turning, you're dancing
Yeah, which way?
from front to back.
Yeah, so you're turning the ball. You're turning the ball. And as you turn the ball, your hand follows the turning ball.
Mm.
Now, what that means for your weight, for instance, is when you do pong, it tends to bring your weight up here. Then as you do lu, it's going to bring the weight to the back. So the weight comes to the front and then the back. As the ball's turning forward and then it's turning backward. And now comes the final part. Boom, it goes down. What are you doing inside there, Rand, when you do on energy? Boom.
Um, you bring the energy to the earth.
Yes, very simple. You drop it, you sink, all right? Now, those ideas carry forward into every movement. They're not always exactly the same, but it's going to be something like that, some variation on those. So inside, what I'm doing is coming forward, rolling backwards, boom, and dropping down. Using my energy, right? I'm literally going to drop my energy to the ground, but I'm also dropping my weight. Vroom. Right? Vroom. Vroom. Now, when you do it in the form, it's going to be a little softer than that. Why do we do it more softly? If you do it with what's called doing it this way is called fa jin. It means explosive energy. When you do Fa Jin, boom, some energy leaves your body. Boom, it's going down into the ground. All right, if you did that through the whole form, you would use a lot of energy up. And the form is supposed to give you energy, not use energy up. So we soften everything so that you're gaining energy instead of losing energy. But you should know what the difference is and what you're doing. So even though I'm going to do this very softly, I know what I'm actually doing. I'm still rising in Peng, sliding backwards in Lu, and dropping down in An. I'm just doing it in a way that doesn't use up a lot of my battery. How many of you have cell phones? Everybody's got a cell phone now. One of the biggest problems is keeping your battery charged, right? It's the same with you. You got to keep your battery charged. And if you're always doing Fa Jin all the time, your battery's going to run down really fast. So doing Tai Chi should be a way of charging your battery. If you feel a little tired and a little quonky when you begin, by the time you're done with this 15-minute form, you should feel better. You should feel more invigorated and fresher. All right? So we do it very gently, but if you're actually going to do it, then you need to know with your mind what it is you're doing, and your mind leads your chi. All right? Right? Your mind is the head of the coin, but your chi is the backside of the coin. They're actually the same thing, but there are two sides to them. All right, does this make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is go through the whole form. Well, tomorrow, let's see, we spent about 15 minutes working on one tiny little move, right? But that basic principle is going to show up everywhere, because watch. Well, isn't that just a variation on the first part? Yeah. Pong, Lu, An. Now what's different is we're going to add the G in there. So it's Pong, Lu, An, the same as Pong, Lu, An, only now it's bigger. Pong, Lu, An, and now G. So those two parts of the thing are just variations on each other. This all seems more complicated than it actually is. Once you get it all, you'll think, oh, well, it's actually relatively simple. Relatively. Right, Jill?
Yes.
So tomorrow, thank you. Tomorrow we will go on with this and finish Catherine's thing. So what Catherine, what you could do today is just look through the rest of the first move and ask yourself, for each of those 4 yin and yang cycles, which of the 4 energies are you using where? And then when you think about, okay, well, the yin part is winding up, the yang part is the hit, so where am I hitting? This is wind up, hit. Wind up, hit, right? So I will let you work out the final 2, right? Understand where the hit is, and you'll understand what the Xinyi is. Okay, any questions? All right, let's meet again tomorrow, and we'll finish up Catherine's first move and move on to the second move. You guys have a great day. Ciao.